Yo, I hear a lot of comments of people saying stuff like, man, LeBron James was shit all over Oscar Robertson. Man, he'd be dunking on him. He'd be using and abusing that guy. Then I think about it. I say, you know what? Pump the brakes. Hold up a little bit. If that's necessarily true, how could that be possible? If you was to zap LeBron James and dome him into Oscar Robertson's era, will he be able to do the same thing that he does now to Oscar Robertson? You know the answer to that is? No. You know why? Because it's a simple thing called rules and evolution. This is why it's hard to compare eras. This is why it's hard to say that this guy is better than that guy when the other guy is from another complete era. Let me tell you why. Let's just get a time machine right now. Let's just take LeBron James as is, in his prime, whatever version of LeBron you want, and zap LeBron to Oscar Robertson's era. You think LeBron be able to do all that stuff that he's doing? You think he'd be able to do, let's just, a step back dribble? And not allowed then. Let's see. You think he'd be able to, I don't know, dribble the ball full circle with his hands, all different type of ways? Nope. Back then they dribbled this way, straightforward dribble. Right? So, with that said, who would LeBron James' game be modeled after? Because he said he growed up watching Kobe, Magic Johnson, and Jordan, right? But those guys weren't born before Oscar Robertson, right? So what will LeBron James' skill set be? Oh, his skill set would be from the guys that came before him. That means he would have been influenced by like the Bob Cousy's, Bill Russell's, guys like that. So that means LeBron James, his game would be completely different. There won't be none of those moves that you see now won't even be going down too much, right? So that means, who's to say LeBron James even to be a professional basketball player in that time? Now, keep in mind, this is a complete different era. This is a time where people like LeBron wouldn't get a fair shake. He would have to go do certain treatments mentally that will probably break a guy down like that. Now, you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. If he's born in that era, then he will know how to cope with situations around him like that, you know. But his basketball game won't be the same now, will it? So if his basketball game won't be the same, because every generation or in life is all about evolution. It's connected to each other, right? So you can't have one without the other. So if the guys that came before Oscar Robertson influenced Oscar Robertson to be the player that he is, because he added new stuff from the guys that he was influenced by. And then the guys that growed up watching Oscar Robertson added new stuff from him. So on and so forth. Magic Johnson said he was influenced by Oscar Robertson. He wanted to be like Oscar Robertson. You know, a guard like Oscar Robertson. So Oscar Robertson took what he had in his era, used it, and elevated it. That's what you could do in your era. Because as the rules keep on changing, you could elevate and change with the rules. Or you could be so good that you could change the rules within itself. So, how can LeBron James be better than Oscar Robertson if you was to zap him in that era? Like I said, he'd be a complete different basketball player. He won't be the player that you see. Now, I'm not saying Oscar Robertson is better than LeBron. I'm saying LeBron would not have existed in Oscar Robertson's era. If he did, his game would be completely different. Who's to say he'd be the all-star? He could be a role player at that point, you know? Guys weren't even naturally that big too much. So let's just say LeBron was that size in that era. That doesn't necessarily mean he would have been a better player in that era than Oscar Robertson. Now, when you break down players' greatness, you could break down what they did for each of their era. This is why LeBron is ranked above Oscar Robertson, because he did more for his era in terms of accomplishments than Oscar Robertson, right? But what Oscar Robertson did was remarkable for his era. The average of triple-double in an era where there was no three-point shot. Think about it. You know, that means he was getting single digits. The game was completely different, you know, completely different. So before you say something like that, actually think about it. Now, put that same perspective into Kobe versus Michael Jordan. How could Kobe be better than Michael Jordan if he said, and we all know that he mimicked everything from Jordan. When he played against Jordan in the 90s, he was studying Jordan's every move. This guy, Kobe, admitted that Jordan was a perfect player to him. And he tried to idolize everything and copy everything from Jordan. Even when they played in the game in the 90s, he was a rookie 19-year-old kid. You see that infamous video of him bending down and he's asking Jordan, how do you do this? How do you do that? And Jordan's giving him tips on how to be a better basketball player. All right? So if you was to zap Kobe to the 90s, Kobe would have been born in the same era as Michael Jordan. He would have got drafted around the same time as Michael Jordan. Now, Michael Jordan's skill set would have still been the same because Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan, right? That's his skill set. He had it first. That's not Kobe's skill set. Excuse me. So Kobe would have had a completely different skill set to try to match up against Jordan. And you know what the odds is? The odds is Kobe would have got his ass kicked in Jordan's era. Just like he got outplayed as a 19-year-old, he would have had to deal with Michael Jordan in that era. Now, he has the benefit of learning from Mike because he came after, right? Just like Kobe influenced another whole generation. Guys like LeBron, they said they was like 13 years old idolizing Kobe Bryant. Now, LeBron has said this. Now, LeBron James, his game is completely different from Kobe. They're not even comparable. But he did idolize and looked up to Kobe, right? So this is how basketball evolves and moves on to the next, because you can't be great without being influenced by somebody. Okay, here's a perfect example. Myself, all right, I'm from Queens, New York. All right, I've been influenced by people from my neighborhood, my borough, such as Mobb Deep, Nas, things of that nature, right? So when I came up, all the stuff or the lifestyle that they were living and the stuff that they talk about in their music, I grew up around that. So I took that knowledge and added it to the way I think, walk, talk, and act. And I evolved. I came my own person with my own thoughts, right? And how I see things. But that same generation that I grew up on, we become adults and we teach the next generation, right? So whoever comes first is the person with their own original skill set, all right? So you can't have one without the other. This is why I always tell people, winning championships is a team accomplishment, right? So that means you can't have one without the other. You can't make I'm gonna say this all the time. You can't make a baby without a man and woman, all right? Period. You need both to get the job done. And this is basketball. You need a full team to get the job done. Every Batman needs a Robin. It's as simple as that. Somebody has to be the number one. Somebody has to be the number two. But it's all in fair competition. You have a chance to be the best player on the floor and the best player to be on your own team. You're all competing and battling for that. So that's my breakdown of some people that don't judge basketball the proper way and say, this guy is better than that guy automatically just because you haven't seen them play and you don't know much about them. I'm not from the Oscar Robertson era. I keep that in mind. All right. But I'm giving the man respect because he came before Magic Johnson, a guy like Magic Johnson, right? He came before him. And Magic Johnson took what he learned from Oscar Robertson and elevated, had his own style. Now, you may say, okay, if that's the case, then a guy like Kobe should be evolved over Mike. No, because the problem with Kobe is his skill set was he mimicked Jordan so much to a point that he never developed into his own person, really. And that's when the downfall comes. Jordan was influenced by a guy like Dr. J, but look at Jordan's game and look at Dr. J's game. You won't see no similarness to it. They had the same hand size, but their playing styles was completely different. Kobe mocked Jordan so much to the fact that he tried to walk like Jordan, talk like Jordan. He never established his own self. That's the reason why he can't be ranked higher than Jordan, and there's a reason why it hurt his legacy a little bit. Besides the fact that he wasn't number one all the time. That's the reason. Simple as that. You could be influenced by somebody, but that doesn't mean you have to take everything about that person because you're becoming nothing more than a guy that's not being himself. You're just trying to mimic something you've seen from somebody else do. And that's when it goes wrong. Same for me. I told you I was influenced by the Nas and the Mobb Deeps because I come from the same neighborhood. But guess what? I'm not trying to be those guys. I don't try to dress like them. I don't try to walk like them. I don't try to talk like them. There's a limit. There's a limit of respect that you have to do. And you can't completely steal somebody's style completely. You have to be your own person at the end of the day. So that's a breakdown of eras. Peace. Or comparing players from different eras.